Hello, I'm Pastor Joe, and I want to welcome you to the Parson's Bench Workshop. We are in the early days of the year 2022, and I hope everyone is having a good new year so far. And as we begin the year, I wanted to start off with a shop tour. I love watching shop tours. I love looking at people's layout, the tools they have, and just the whole thing. And so I wanted to do that. Now, I will say my shop is nothing special. If I show you certain areas, you're going to see a lot of sawdust, you're going to see a lot of other stuff. This is not a completely dedicated space. You can tell from some of the things around me and behind me, there are just things that are in here that I need to coexist with. But this is my shop. And I'm proud of it in that regard. There's a lot of things I want to do, and that's part of the goal, is to begin the year with this shop tour. And there's quite a few things I want to do this coming year that I hope will make a big difference in the organization and functionality and just the comfort of this space. So it'll be good to kind of document this from year to year. This space inside is about 23 feet by 23 feet, which is like 529 square feet. So it's plenty of room. I mean, you always want more, but there's really plenty of space. Again, hopefully we'll get it organized better. So let me share with you, I hope as brief as I can, my shop, so you can see where we are, and then you can join me on this journey to how this space is going to be transformed and laid out as we go. So come on, let's go. Right off the bat, when you walk in, is my table saw. It's the one tool in my shop that I have the most love-hate relationship with. It's also probably, I think of all the tools I have, the one I've had the longest. This was really my first big purchase when I got into woodworking on a more serious level. I purchased it because I thought there were some features of it I was going to like. There's a sliding miter table that I thought I would like. I never could get it dialed in. I never did get accurate cuts with it. So I've actually turned it around. I don't even worry about it anymore. I just use a miter gauge in it, and that does fine. One feature I do like on it is I've got the router extension wing put in, and I love having a place to put my router. I don't have a dedicated router table, so this works fine. The table saw has been perfectly adequate. I do need to do some adjusting and tuning up on it. I'm not overly in love with it. If I could ever get another table saw, that'd be great. It's just not in the cards right now. But you know, it does pretty well. Okay, I'm fortunate that I've got two tools that carry the bulk of milling lumber in my shop. I'm very thankful that this summer I was able to pick up this Wahuda joiner. It's an 8-inch joiner, so it's capable of flattening close to 8-inch piece of wood, the face of a piece of wood, in just a few passes. And that what I had was a 4-inch Craftsman joiner, and this Wahuda does so much better than that. It's got the spiral cutter head, and it gives a much cleaner cut than the straight blade that I had on the Craftsman. Overall, I've been really tickled with this, and it has really not only sped up my ability to flatten some lumber, but I think just do so in a better way, and I don't lose as much than the ways I was having to used to do it with a planer slab. After I have flattened the face of a piece of wood and then turned it on its side and joined an edge so I get that 90-degree angle there, then I can take it over to my Delta 13-inch planer. Now I've had this planer here for, gosh, I don't know, 13, 14 years, and it's been great. And particularly it's gotten its work out over the course of the last year. I've probably used it more then than I did the first number of years I had it. But it's held up. It has taken care of everything I need. Between these two tools, I'm able to mill and process and flatten rough lumber. Saves me money. Probably able to use more lumber that I used to not use, and so I'm just very thankful that I've been able to get these. I've got two Benchtop Sanders that get utilized a fair amount. One is a disc belt sander that I inherited from my father-in-law. For a long time, this was the only thing I had like this, and it did a lot of what I needed, but I found that it had its limitations though I still do use it from time to time. But this past spring, I was able to pick up this rigid oscillating belt spindle sander, and I absolutely love it. It's a tool I don't necessarily use with every project, though it gets used with a lot of them. But when it gets used, it does a great job, and it's really, there's not much else that will take its place. And so this has been one of the better purchases I have made for my shop, and it's been a great asset. And I would recommend this one. I hadn't had any issues with it and just really enjoy working with it. Now, my drill press is another tool that I inherited from my father-in-law. It's a Delta 8-inch benchtop drill press. It's got its own stand, though it pretty well stays right there where it is unless I need to move it out for if I got longer stock that I'm trying to deal with. And I actually find I use this a lot with my scroll saw projects. One is to drill the starter holes that I need for the blade to go in, but the other is I picked up this flapper sander. I think it's a 180 grit maybe sander, and it just goes into the chuck. And after cutting a scroll saw piece out, this does a great job of knocking off the fuzzies and starting the process. Still have to do some hand sanding, but it does a great job of getting that started. Above the drill press is the drill station that I built last year. It holds obviously my cordless drill and driver. It's also got my oscillating multi-tool that I use a lot, mainly for sanding on projects, being able to get in corners. It's got a little triangle sander head, but then it's got, you know, my charger, battery charger, and all my drill bits and things, and actually on top is my random orbital sander. I hope soon to build a sanding station tower that'll hold all my sandpaper, my sander, and all that. But that's another good build that I made to help with the organization of the shop. Now, one thing that's not really a tool, but I'm really excited to have is this freezer. Particularly during the winter months, my glue and finishes would get too cold and they wouldn't be usable. So I'd either have to remember to take them in the night before, or I'd have to take them in early in the morning, let them warm up before I could use them. So I picked this up. It was a great trade. Some members of our church had it and it quit. So they needed to get rid of it, and I was looking for something. So I was able to pick that up. I do need to add a light to it inside so that it will keep it even warmer when the temperature does drop around here. All right, so coming across from my sander and drill press is one of my favorite areas of the shop. It's actually one of the newer parts of woodworking that I've been getting into, and this is my scroll saw section. I've actually got three scroll saws. I got the old Craftsman that I got from my father-in-law that I began with. It's now in the corner collecting dust. But I was able last year to pick up this Porter cable scroll saw. This was sort of a celebratory gift when we sold a house that we'd had on the market for a number of years, and I absolutely loved it. And I was so excited to get this, and the things that opened up, it was so much smoother, so much quicker changing blades, and I was in hog heaven. Actually loved it. And I kid you not, probably 3 weeks after I got this into my shop, I got a message from a friend of mine in South Carolina, and years ago someone had given him a DeWalt scroll saw, and he wanted to know if I wanted it. So he gave it to me, so I just had to go get it. So I've now got this DeWalt scroll saw, so I keep them both set up. I've tried to sell the Porter cable a couple of times without any luck. I may try again, but right now I have them both set up, and so it's kind of alternate using them. But I absolutely love this DeWalt saw. It is so smooth and accurate, and just really love it. The light helps, and it's got a magnifying glass on there, so that helps me see as well. But I just love scroll. Scroll sawing to me is probably the most relaxing part of woodworking that I do. To just be there at the scroll saw, take a deep breath, and just relax and cut. There's nothing like it. It's my favorite thing, and I just keep trying to work at it and improve what I do. All right, we're nearing the end of the shop tour. In this corner, there's a couple things. One, and it's kind of in the way, but I got some lumber on the floor here. Is my shop vac that I can connect to most of my tools, and it really does help with the dust collecting. It's not perfect by any means, but right now this is all I've got, all I can afford. And so it's a big help over not having anything, and I'm glad I can do that. But I've got this Delta 12-inch miter saw that, again, I've picked up probably about 14, 15 years ago, along with the mobile stand. The mobile stand was great when we lived up in the mountains, and particularly in the winter, my wife liked to park in the middle of my shop. And so this was great because I could put all my tools along the wall and we could pull our vehicles in out of the snow. But now I got this space, I don't move things around so much. But it's a good height and I like the stand. I'll probably, for right now, make some kind of wings for it, just utilizing this stand, but extending the table on it, and I can have some stops and all that. But again, this saw is a 12-inch compound miter saw. It's been great, and I've really enjoyed having that. Another tool that I inherited from my father-in-law is this bandsaw. It's a Craftsman 12-inch bandsaw, and it's done great. I've enjoyed it. I've been told that if I had a better saw, it would be even a better experience, but I've never cut with a different bandsaw. And so I like this one right now, and because a new one's not in my budget. But this has allowed me to, one thing I've really started learning is to resaw lumber. And this saw does not have a fence, so I've got this fence that I made, and so I just measure from the blade and then clamp this, and it really does a great job of guiding the piece that I'm trying to resaw. I can resaw just under 7 inches. Wide board. I think 7 is just a little bit, so I just bring it down, but it's around that, and that's usually enough for what I need. But again, that's been pretty good, and so very thankful to have that. And it's an older tool, older one, and I know not a high-end one, but you know, it's done everything I've asked it to do. Now, the other thing that I would point out here, and I'll have to flip the camera around. So up above me is my lumber storage. This is a little lumber rack that I put together a year and a half or so ago, almost 2 years ago. And it's got a place where I can store longer boards, you know, when you get into 6, 8 feet. But then there's kind of 3 little areas where you can put in shorter pieces and all that. I hope to put some on the wall, lumber storage on the wall, so I'll have greater capacity to store lumber. But that's been good, and it's in the back corner of the shop, so it's not most convenient, but it works very well for me, and it's held up great too. All right, the last thing I want to cover is my workbench. I like to say that I've got 2 workbenches. One I've had for a number of years, and it's this right here. This little 2-foot square, 3/4 inch piece of plywood is my main workbench. It's my assembly table. And after I assemble it, when it's time to paint or stain, flip it over and it becomes my finishing table. And you know, you might be surprised how inadequate this is, but it's what I have, and I've used this for years. And so it works, but I'm really excited and looking forward to doing something different. And so the lumber I mentioned that I have on the floor is my new workbench. I just got to get it assembled or milled and cut and glued and put together, but I'm working on it. It's a project that I hope to have done soon, whatever soon is, but it'll be about 2.5 feet wide and 5 feet long, and it'll serve also as an outfeed table, and kind of it'll allow me to clean up some space in here. So that's my shop. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour. It's not a show shop, I told you that, but it's I think just sort of a normal everyday person workshop. Hopefully this year you'll see changes going on. If you've got any comments, suggestions, I'd always welcome that and love that, and just leave those below, and I'll be happy to take a look at that and take any help I can get. If you haven't already, let me encourage you to take a moment, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell icon, because I don't post every week. I'm trying to post as often as I can, but sometimes it will be kind of when I'm able to get to it. But I hope that you have a great new year, and stay safe out in the shop, and I look forward to when we gather together again.